And after that caramel dancing, causing Russell to, to actually leave, like he said he would last part, we are the Spiffy Needle Geeks. It is Brawl Fan 1, Super Sonic Warrior 7, and Rashutsu Rises. And today in Yokai Watch, we are now going to gain access to the final optional post-game dungeon.
Oh.
So, to access this dungeon, Whisper brought up how he suspects that there's a mansion somewhere in Breezy Hills that we can go to find out where this place is. So we talked to this man here named Mr. Stone, who talks about how there's a shack somewhere hidden over in that other place. I'm totally blanking on the name. God damn it. It's on the left side. And it was a dream that he had of it, but he's very terrified of it. So we talked to him, and then once we walk out of the room past me, there we go. Or walk over here, just explore this guy's house, why not? We're confronted by his wife, Mrs. Stone, who actually does confront us on the fact that she can see yokai. She actually does see Whisper behind us. And she talks about how the place that her husband just described wasn't a dream. The place really exists. He kind of just suppressed it. But she does have a key to that shack that he was talking about. So she's going to give us the key. And once she gives us said key, we will now gain access to the final dungeon.
Okay.
So now, how I'm going to work this final dungeon, I'm going to go through it in increments. Because I do want to prioritize the yokai that are in the overworld first. But there are certain items that I need to get that are only in this final dungeon to allow me to get these yokai that I'm talking about. And I'll bring that more into detail once I get to it.
Oh, okay.
All right. So
is this like a very big dungeon, or
it is the largest dungeon in the game. It is also obviously the hardest dungeon in the game.
Okay.
The strongest yokai are here, and there is something else that adds to its difficulty as well. So we see this path that isn't even on the map. Like, apparently someone crashed their car into it, and into the railing, and opened it up for us.
Okay.
So we go down this pathway. And I did visit here a long time ago. When we encountered the yokai Urnaconda, which can only be found back here while training. But here is said shack that Mr. Stone was talking about. Once we use the key that Mrs. Stone gave us, we now have access to the final dungeon, the Infinite Inferno. And it's called the Infinite Inferno for a very good reason. Remember back in the yokai world where we visited the 3 stages of hell? Welcome to Hellier Hell.
Hellier Hell.
It's a double hell, basically.
Sounds
This
hot.
is the Infinite Inferno, which is actually more so based off of Dante's Inferno because there are multiple circles of it. Though I don't think there are 9 here. I think there are only 7, if I recall correctly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I getcha.
And of course,
that sounds.
Yep, sorry. Now, you are going to see different yokai on each of the different circles that does represent the actual circles of Dante's Inferno. This is also the dungeon where we can typically recruit yokai that were more story-driven. Like, you can actually get more Jibanyan here, you can get more Komasan here, things like that.
I just think that's kind of weird, where it's like Japanese mythology, and we have a dungeon that's based off Dante's Inferno. It's like,
Yeah.
that's such an odd combination.
I suppose. Yeah, like I'm showing off here. You can recruit Komasan here because remember, Komasan was a yokai you can only get through the story. So before this, you can really only get 1 Komasan. Now you can get more if you want.
Gotcha.
And like I said, in later parts of the dungeon, you can also get more Jibanyan if you want more Jibanyan. So now, remember early on in the Let's Play how we can only choose between Thornyan and Badnyan when we fuse Jibanyan. Now you can get the other one if you want. That is if you didn't find it in the yokai spot, but regardless. This is also where you find Static King, or not Static King, Static King is later. Signaton, who is a Signable's evolution. So if you didn't befriend the Signaton or get the item from Signaton from that other side quest before, which was the only time you can fight him pre-ending of the story, this is where you can find him again. But now here's an actual new yokai. This is Greasel. Greasel is a rank S yokai from the Shady Tribe. He's a very fast spirit attacker. Greasel is a very greedy motherfucker. This guy is super stingy. He refuses to spend his money on anything. And anyone he inspirits does as such. They become very stingy and very greedy. Like, we're talking Mr. Krabs levels of greed here, to be honest.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think of which yokai would be, which character would be suitable for this yokai in particular, and you just thought of the best example.
I give no exaggerations when I say that more than likely this guy probably is inspiriting Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
That also said, he does have a very unique ability called Mine, or I'm not sure if it's exactly what it's called, but you notice we're all familiar with the differences between good inspirits and bad inspirits. Good inspirits are when you inspirit your own party to give them buffs. Bad inspirits are when you inspirit the enemy party in order to debuff them. Greasel here can actually steal your team's good inspirits.
Really?
Which is not that great for me because literally my entire team, with the exception of Blizzaria, are all good inspirators.
Oh. Yeah, that's, yeah, you're absolutely right. That does not sound too good.
That also said, aside from just befriending Greasel, you do want to fight a couple of these guys, because they do actually have a rare item drop that you do need in order to get another yokai. We're going to be encountering a couple of these guys, where, we have to fight very specific yokai and make them drop very specific items in order for us to get other very specific yokai, which are actually part of very short quests. Like, the quests are literally just take these items to this one location and fight this yokai to befriend them.
Okay.
Oh. Ugh, excuse me. Yeah.
Ugh. So another... oh, and we got Greasel. Ah, damn it, you know what? I'm sure you guys have noticed right now that, the audio may be cutting in and out. I don't know what happened with that, guys. As you can see, I'm editing audio, but of course we miss Greasel's voice, which you know what, I'll do my best impression. Greasel! Something like that.
Greasel!
There you go. Greasel! Sure, why not?
Close enough.
I just watch the actual audio is like exactly opposite.
God damn it. Anyway, so here is the first of those quests that I was just talking about. You talk to this woman, and she talks about, and let's see, I believe this woman in particular, yeah, the Offered Sword. She talks about us visiting the graves at night behind the Shoten Temple. You talk to this grave in particular, and this random spirit talks about the Betrayed Blade. I believe the Betrayed Blade can only be obtained by defeating white Ryu Nicholas Ryu Knights in the yokai world. That said, here is the guy, Zerberker. Zerberker is a rank S yokai from the Brave Tribe. He's another very fast, fairly bulky physical attacker. This is actually the normal version of Snortle. Remember the guy we got at the very beginning of the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
So Zerberker, his powers, whoever he inspirits, goes into an uncontrollable, very exploding, very violent rage. Like, we're not talking about, like, Ragion the fish, whoever they inspirit, just makes them angry. No, this guy makes them violently angry. Like, to the point of, punching and, like, very bad tantrums, I would say.
Oh, I getcha.
Now, the cool thing about these quest yokai, where once you give them their items and then befriend them that way, or I'm sorry, give them their items and fight them, you don't need to befriend them under normal means. Just beat them and they'll be your friend automatically. Now, that said, Zerberker's weird on the fact that this quest is here at all, because you can actually find Zerberker in the Infinite Inferno. He's in there. You can recruit them there too. Which is odd, because all the other yokai that we have to that we fight through these means, those are the only yokai in the game. For some reason, Zerberker is the only one that not only has this kind of quest, but can also be obtained through normal means. But oh well. Interestingly enough, actually, kind of going a bit into Yokai 2 territory, Zerberker is actually one of the few yokai in that game to get a pre-evolution.
Oh, a pre-evolution?
Yeah, there's a yokai named Hisfit in Yokai 2 that will evolve into Zerberker when you fuse it with the Betrayed Blade.
Oh. Ooh.
And that's interesting, because there are a couple of yokai in Yokai 2 that actually gain evolutions, but not too many that have pre-evolutions.
Yeah, you know what? That is actually true. Yeah, you raise a really good point. We have seen more evolutions compared to pre-evolutions, or well, if it will provide. Well, that is considering that there has been like no sign of pre-evolutions in sight in this game.
I'm talking more Yokai 2. Where
right.
Existing yokai in this game can now have the ability to evolve into something stronger in Yokai 2.
Yeah.
Oh well, so like I said, after beating Zerberker, he will instantly become your friend. You're quite strong. You really went for it. I admire your verve and impudence. Or what'd he say? I didn't catch that, actually.
Impertinent?
Impertinence? I don't know. Anyway, we have Zerberker.
Zerberker!
There we go. Zerberker!
Sorry, guy, but we had Snartle way before you, and Snartle's just better. Oh, god damn it.
Rude.
Yeah, and something I actually failed to mention before about I mentioned before how we had 10 quests left after the initial 100 that were available during the usual game. But except with the exception of one, all of those quests all involved just getting yokai. And we did 5 of them in the yokai world when getting the fusion items. 4 of them, and then 4 of them involve giving items to, bringing items to specific locations to get more yokai. So there's really only one more quest that's just like at an actual usual side quest.
Oh, all right.
That said, so the next one, this is Eddie's mother. We talked to Eddie's mom, and he initiates the next quest. If we go to that mountain area that's north of Breezy Hills, we'll find a rock there. And the quest kind of just spoiled it, actually.
That's...
A fine quest, take all the fun out of it, I guess.
Huh.
So
find a chicken thigh in a chest.
The Typhoon Fan. Greasel drops Typhoon Fans. Bring the Typhoon Fan to this rock, and now we can fight, as the quest's already spoiled, Tengu! The original Tengu. Tengu is a rank S yokai from the Mysterious Tribe. He is a very hard-hitting spirit attacker, no joke. And that also doesn't help with the fact that you can actually give him an item called the Tengu Fan that increases his power even more.
Oh.
So that said, Tengu, this is, one of the most generic yokai, like, in this game. He's literally just the yokai that can manipulate wind.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean by generic.
Like, if you know anything about the big-nosed, red-faced, yokai named Tengu, you already know his whole spiel. Like, he manipulates wind. He can create typhoons and shit like that.
Right.
Yeah, I do know, Tengu is, one of, a very, very old and actually very well-known Japanese mythological creature and everything. Tengu, Oni, a lot of those. I remembered when I was in Disney World, working on my internship, when you go to Epcot and you go to, I believe it's Japan, they have an exhibit that talks about Japanese mythology and how it's portrayed in anime and games. And one of the things that they actually talked about was Tengu.
Not too surprising.
Yeah, and it was actually pretty interesting, it was because, a fair amount of, the stuff that they talk about in this game and everything is, it's in this exhibit. They give you the backstory of, okay, this is what the mythology behind the Tengu is. This is what the mythology behind the Oni is. But then they'll bring up an example of, some anime or something that uses that monster and be like, okay, now this is how, this is being portrayed here.
Tengu!
Yep. Alrighty, well now we have Tengu.
Yay, Tengu.
Tengu. Which again is not at all a bad yokai. Like, I was kind of tempted to use him on the final team, but nah, we get him too late. Which actually is kind of hypocritical saying, considering what I'm about to do at the end of this part, but we'll save that for the end of this part.
Okay.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
Yeah, we get the Tengu.
Why, are we going Gangnam style on this one or something?
No. No more.
First
no
terrible dancing, then Gundam style. Wait.
No more. That's not what I'm talking about.
I know.
Anyway, so the next one, we talked to the receptionist here in the museum, and she brings up how there's a hidden shrine hidden somewhere in Mount Wildwood. That was redundant as all fuck. The hidden shrine hidden in Mount Wildwood. Huh. So we go to the. So now that we're rank S, we can go even farther back through the abandoned tunnel. We go back here, and we find ourselves outside, which is actually a place that we've been able to see since the beginning of the game. We're now only able to finally access it, and of course, there's a hidden cave behind the waterfall.
There's always something behind the waterfall.
Yep. So we see this shrine here. So the Forever Flower. These are only dropped by white Pinky Poos, which you can fight in Yokai World. Bring the Forever Flower here. And now we can fight Dromp.
The fuck is that?
Dromp is a rank S yokai from the Tough Tribe. He is pure wall, pure defense, and a fairly good hitting, fairly decent physical attacker. Dromp is what is known as the legendary guardian of nature itself. It can build mountains, create lakes. It can even terraform landscapes to its own well-being. Like, this yokai is the representative of nature itself.
I guess that makes sense. Because it's like, at first glance, I'm just like, why are we fighting a big pile of poop?
I think it's supposed to be like, you know, a representative of like, you know, the different layers of the earth, and then for hair it has like grass. So
yeah, that's where it's like, yeah, once you explained it, it's like, okay, now I see that. It's just at first glance, it's like there's a poop monster now.
It's like, oh man, I think I stepped on a cow pie.
I mean, I'm sure you're not too wrong. I'm sure there's some kind of manure somewhere in his body makeup, but whatever.
Right.
That said, I know the show did delve a little more into Dromp being a bit more mischievous. Like, something that he can, like, I mentioned that he can terraform land, you know, shape it to his well-being. But apparently Dromp, in the show anyway, really likes labyrinths and mazes. And will sometimes even, you know, shape the land into his own kind of labyrinth and make people get lost just for his own amusement to see if they can get free. Dromp actually was a yokai that I did use in previous playthroughs of this game as well. Like, I do enjoy him, though. As for how versatile he is, he's not that versatile, honestly. Because it's like, his ultimate is, you know, what Castellius the First was. He blows himself up. And then, like, you know, aside from that, his Inspiriting heals for regen, and that's about it. Aside from that, he's a pure attacker.
Okay.
Like, I feel like he would be a little bit more useful if his ultimate was, you know, a guard, like you know, Castellius Max's is. But it's not. So because of that, he's a pure attacker that can just take a lot of hits. That's really all he does. I mean, he can be useful if you give him like an. I know there's I believe there's an item that you can give to yokai that'll cause them to be like the center target. Like, I think there is anyway. I might be thinking of Yokai 2. Like, I know in Yokai 1, there's very specifically an item that'll make it so that yokai will never be targeted. Like, I believe it's like a hockey mask. It's like a mask of some kind. Like, not a hockey mask. It's like a rag you put over their head, and then apparently that makes it so that they're targeted less often.
Huh. Oh. Okay.
That's for an item that you can give to a yokai to make them targeted more often. I forget if that's in Yokai 1. I do believe that it's in Yokai 2. I forget, though. Oh, well. Anyway, so we beat Dromp, and just like Zerberker and Tengu before him, he will become our friend instantly. He also gave us some cola. Cool.
We defeated the guardian of nature itself. What will happen now?
Well, he'll give us his medal.
Jump!
Now that also said, Drump is actually the final yokai that we need, as you're about to see, for one of the Legends pages.
Wait. Oh, hey!
We're about to get our next legendary yokai. It's been a while. The last one we got was Shogunyan, and that was a while ago.
Yeah, really.
Right?
Like, Shogunyan's the only legendary yokai you can get, like, you know, pre-game. All the remaining legendary yokai you can't get till post. Yo.
So that's how he. That's like how he greets everybody. He's like he dissembles his body and head. Is like, yo.
Sure, but that said, now that we have these those yokai for this Legends page, let's summon him.
Oh.
Summoning
Okay.
Legendary!
Imaginary, incendiary, flip flop, squiggle,
Oh my
slim
goodness.
slam, legendary.
This is Elder Bloom.
Elder Bloom.
Elder Bloom is a rank S legendary yokai of the Heartful tribe. He is he is one of the fastest healers in the entire game. On top of having the carrying ability, which, as you all remember, is a constant regen for the two yokai next to him. His Ultimate is the only Ultimate in the game that not only heals yokai but revives fallen yokai.
Oh.
Wow.
So he is just the definition of the best healer in the game. That said, as for Elder Bloom's powers as a yokai, he's able to bloom flowers anywhere he goes, and those flowers will bring infinite joy to anyone who comes in contact with them.
Oh, nice.
So that said, what I said earlier about being a bit hypocritical and adding new yokai to slate in the game, I'm sorry, Bloominoko, but Elder Bloom is gonna be your replacement.
Yes.
I would imagine so. I mean, like, the minute that you bring up, oh, I have a yokai that can revive, that's like, why would you pass that up?
Yeah, like Bloominoko, you are part of my main team since the very beginning of the game. You were with us through everything, but now it's time for your retirement. We're replacing Bloominoko for Elder Bloom.
Get the fuck out of here, Bloominoko. We don't want you around here anymore.
I like Bloominoko. It's one of my faves. Shut up, Danny. But no, Elder Bloom, especially for some of the challenges we're going to be meeting up with later on here in post game, Elder Bloom's powers will definitely become much more useful. But that said, that'll do it for this part of Yokai Watch, ladies and gentlemen. Join us next time as we continue to go back to the Infinite Inferno and meet some more new yokai in there. So we'll see you then.